Hello, chat. Welcome to the last episode of the news for this week. It is December 11th, 2020, and we're doing robot and nonsense, which is like the best combo because it's just pretty much all nonsense all the way through.
Nobody's watching this episode because they're all playing Cyberpunk.
They might listen to it in the background.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's a lot of like open world grindy stuff that they want to do, so they could totally listen to this in the background.
I can get the upgrade for my penis. That was one of the things that it was supposed to have.
Isn't there a lot of sexuality based stuff where it's like super woke?
Yeah.
Won't that be disabled though if you're in the streamer version of the game?
Probably.
Because I know that'll disable music, but I don't know, like, will it disable the sexual content as well?
That did in Rust too, because Rust you'd get the blurs.
Oh yeah.
Do you think they'll region lock some of that? Because some cultures aren't fans of that.
They'll definitely have to.
Before we get started, here's a great, we don't have this story, but you can go look this up on your own. Ritz crackers. Now, when you think about Ritz crackers, what do you think about?
Salty.
Gender equality, I agree. Yes. And so they put out a commercial that was just like, they took all of their gender equality flashcards and, like social justice flashcards, and they just threw them at an idea board, and they put everything in it. Every kind of aberrant human behavior is celebrated in the Ritz commercial. But here's what you got to do. Go watch the Spanish language version of the Ritz commercial. The Ritz Corporation celebrated a lot of homosexuality, but in the Spanish market, they removed all of that. Because it seems like the Spanish-speaking countries not as comfortable with it. And ultimately, it's about selling crackers.
When I think about crackers, like, the other term, like, just bland, vanilla, safe. Like, what a weird marketing campaign for crackers.
Well, and crackers are, the word cracker itself is a racial slur. They should try to monetize that.
I bet the YouTube algorithm really struggles with that, and it's like, better err on the side of caution.
All those holiday recipes.
Yeah. It's just...
Don't crush up crackers and put them on your mac and cheese. That's a hate crime. Well, in the robot world...
Well, no, even before that, it's Linode.
I'm sorry, yes.
This episode was sponsored by Linode, so you should check them out. It's self-improvement. It's Devember. You can improve yourself and learn how to code. Free credits from Linode. There's a link below, and you can set that up. You'd be hard-pressed to spend all the free credit that they give you before the end of December for your Devember project. Because I know you want to submit a Devember project so that you can win those free things and prizes and stuff. Linode credits and hardware.
Or perhaps you're fed up with trying to improve yourself and you just want to coast out the rest of the year and not really think about anything. You want just a mind-numbing activity that can while away the hours that you'd rather not spend in reality. And then if that's more of your speed, Minecraft.
We're hosting it on Linode.
You can build in our Minecraft server, and if your build is good enough to impress Krista, prizes are in your
Prizes.
Woo!
From store.level1text.com.
You got to tell us where your homestead is on the forum by replying to that thread. So that's
I'll have that pinned by now. As of recording, it's not pinned to the top of the forum, but it will be by the time this airs. So.
Woo! So thank you all. Thank you all for supporting us, and thanks to Linode for supporting this episode of the news and Devember in general, because we've done a lot of stuff with Devember.
Now, if you're not a technical person and you don't like Minecraft, perhaps you will look for other things to do in December. Maybe you want to write a song. Man, that's a way to make money here in this dark time, right? You don't have to leave your house. Just throw it out there.
Yeah, people love being songwriters.
Yeah, see what happens with it. And but people have written a lot of songs. There's nothing new under the sun, as some people say. So what if you accidentally plagiarize your music? Spotify's here to help you.
Spotify just invented an AI technology that will police songwriter plagiarism. Hey, this sequence of chords sounds like this other sequence of chords over here. You plagiarized it. I can't imagine, this will end well. Could this possibly be effective?
Will this count, remixes as well? Will it realize, hey, this person's using a sample, or...
Well, in the case of a remix, I think you usually...
Credit the artist.
Either get permission, or the publishing is not yours, right?
Yeah.
The publishing still belongs to whoever wrote it.
What, I I struggle to, depending on how good or how bad this AI is. I had a couple of music history classes because the whole real well-rounded education thing, and then until the invention of the piano, which was based on another instrument that was kind of similar to the piano, a lot of music sounded the same, like the popular music, and then we sort of got into the classical era, and then a lot of classical music sounds the same. Are we entering an era where the first person to come up with the way that something sounds? I mean, I know this is about lyrics and chords and things like that, but
I don't think the lyrics are involved here. It's
No.
the actual music.
the actual sequences or whatever.
Yeah, they submit your note file or whatever,
And I'll tell
then
you-
that's what it's registering it.
A great, you think this, when is this ever going to happen? This already happened. The kid, it was the son of a celebrity who made a huge song a couple of years ago. The reason I remember it is the music video. Blurred Lines. If you've never seen the Blurred Lines uncensored music video, it's on YouTube. I recommend you check that out. I would go so far as to pause this video to check that out.
What's the 2016 memory? I think that was 3 or 4 years ago.
You'll thank me in the comments afterwards. But that guy got sued. I think was it Marvin Gaye?
Right.
Maybe.
He lost everything that he earned from that song.
Wow.
Everything. And it ruined his career. So don't be like him.
Do you think it was accidental or on purpose?
The court ruled that it was on purpose.
Wow.
It came down to there's a loop in the background, and people are saying yeah or screaming or something at a certain, and that was in the original song.
Oh.
And the judge was
Yeah,
like,
that's a sample. Yeah.
that's the reason that you're losing everything here.
That's amazing. Well, if the AI catches that, then that'll be good. But I was worried that, it was if somebody came up with something that sounded like classical music, as different as it was the music that preceded it, then one person would own all music that sounds kind of like that.
I think it'll still be bad, but maybe not that bad.
It gives you a score. So what might end up happening is there might have to be a Supreme Court case that decides what numeric value is the threshold for fresh music.
I'm just thinking about when we upload, test videos, and it's 3 minutes of silence, and then we get 8 copyright claims on that from 5 different records. It's
Oh yeah, the copyright cartel will be all over this.
yeah. It's this is the sound of our silence is copyrighted. It's
Yeah, there's a Simon and Garfunkel joke in there somewhere. I don't know where it is, but it's somewhere.
And we were promised ages ago by all of the movies that came out in the 80s that we would be flying in cars by now. And it seems like 2020 has dealt a huge blow to that progress. I don't think anybody's working on flying taxis because guess what? Nobody's taking taxis in 2020. And that is probably what led to this headline.
Scoop. Uber is in talks to sell their air taxi business to Joby Avionics, I think. Not the people that make the Gorilla Pods. They in some cities, I guess, like New York or whatever, they have a chartered helicopter service where you can just Uber a helicopter. No one cares in 2020 at all. And I think this article seemed to say that Uber was hinting about selling all of itself, but maybe I misread that.
I don't know. I didn't see that part. But yeah, cool technology, but we probably don't need it until we solve some bigger problems. So they are selling it for cheap though. Buy low. They got that part at least. And you cannot currently take a taxi to the moon. You must have pretty much government support in order to get there. And the Chinese Communist Party has put their full support behind the Chang'e.
Chang'e's 5 mission lands on the moon. That sounded like I was pronouncing it funny, but
You put the possess. See, it's because Chang'e's got the apostrophe.
yeah.
It messed up your possessive.
No.
Is it Chang'e? I assume it is, but I've never heard it said out loud.
Yeah, Chang'e.
Okay.
This article talks about how it landed on the moon to collect a soil sample. At the time of us recording this, it has successfully lifted off from the lunar surface and has entered orbit around the moon. It is currently rendezvousing with its parent spacecraft and will soon begin a maneuver to return to Earth, which again is a huge series of milestones. Even if the mission is not ultimately successful, the fact that they made it this far is incredible.
Yeah, they got the collector, the ascent vehicle, the re-entry vehicle, the launch. It was all comboed together. It all worked.
It is exactly like what's the series on Netflix that's got the really dry actor in it who's also directing it, Space Force. It's exactly like Space Force. The Chinese are depicted in Space Force as like super advanced, and the American space technology is always like bumbling and terrible, and this would seem to confirm that.
We'll see. We got the price of moon rocks is going to be heavily affected because it's basically, I think they're about to double the amount. How much did we bring back from the original moon mission?
A lot.
Did we?
Yeah.
That makes sense. I'm surprised they didn't leave one of the astronauts up there.
Well, NASA's tried to maintain control over it, which is why it's so rare.
One of the big things that people do with their computer when they're, doing all this shared computing and stuff is protein folding. If you can just throw...
Folding at home.
You throw computing power, it can be used to, and that has huge medical implications. If you can figure out what the proper shape of a protein is going to be, and we might be on the cusp of something amazing with that.
In a major scientific breakthrough, AI predicts the exact shape of proteins. So this is from the team that brought you AlphaGo. What is the name of this technology? AlphaFold. So AlphaFold is a neural net that has been trained on a tiny fraction of the AlphaGo resources. The researcher from Google called it modest, but didn't really specify what modest was. And it is apparently very effective. 66% of the proteins they tested it with, it was accurate to within 1 atom width. And the other 33%, the lab people described as actually very good. And there was one protein that had defied analysis through X-ray crystallography. And the researcher that was working on that was beyond excited because he's like, I finally have a picture of the 3D structure of what this is that I can experimentally verify, but that had eluded me because this particular protein didn't really want to be part of the X-ray crystallography. So exciting times. And once the algorithm's trained, it's, it'll run on relatively commodity hardware.
Got to find something else to put all that unused computing power toward.
Well, folding proteins would be really good. Also for the vaccine, it mentioned how, hey, we've got a model of the protein that's used as the spike to enter cells, so we can use that to model more vaccines. So, yay.
Great. So then we can create more world-destroying vaccines.
Mm.
Yay. What if another one hit right now? There would
Another
just be
pandemic.
waves of suicides.
There
was the bird flu.
I think they got it under control.
But that's not in humans, is it?
No, it's low risk to humans. So they're mostly just having to cull livestock, which is not great for other reasons, but it's not a direct danger to humans.
Around here, there are a lot of people suffering, and there's a lot of desperation. More from like the joblessness and economic impact of like no stimulus than anything else.
Wow.
I mean, there's a lot of people around here that could live under a flat rock, but
You just created a lot of engagement right there.
You did.
sorry.
Rue.
High engagement.
Rue responded to that as well.
Well, redirect that engagement to the level 1 Minecraft server. I don't know.
You please follow the forum rules if you're on the Minecraft server. We're just like curled up under the blanket because it's so cold up here. She's
Well-
pushed the pillow aside.
I'm surprised the boiler snake hasn't made an appearance because it's running full tilt.
It was hissing a little bit earlier. Maybe he's not built up his pressure yet.
He's not got anything to really say about any of the stories so far, but he's getting there.
So one thing that Rue might be dreaming about, Krista, is getting back to her travel schedule. I know how much she loves to travel. And she has always mentioned to me that she's always wanted to see Japan.
Yeah, she would love Japan.
Yeah.
There's so many cats there.
Japan, they have a decent amount of tourism, but like most places in the world, that didn't happen in 2020 because no one's traveling. So what do you do? Let's say that the vaccines do work. How do you tempt people to visit your land? What amazing thing will you show them? We've seen this guy before, but it seems like he's made some leaps and bounds in terms of his actual functionality.
Giant Japanese robot spurs hopes for tourism after virus hit. Now, we saw him last time and can only lift up his crotch flap and like lift his knee.
And he was hanging from cables.
Yeah, but now, he's going full tilt. Pretty soon somebody can like hop inside him and fight Godzilla.
Although, look at the multiplier in the bottom there. He's moving real slow. This is 4 times actual speed.
He weighs 27 tons.
He's a big old boy.
It's cool. He's a Gundam.
I'd buy an overpriced hot dog and soda to go look at the Gundam.
That might be true. Yeah. I would like to explore his insides.
Yeah.
What sort of interface does he have? Is it like a full mocap rig inside the thing, or is he just fully remote controlled?
No, I don't think there's any like human driver.
No, I mean, but you know.
Yeah. Well, when you play the lottery, I imagine. Well, before I read this headline, I would have said that nobody does this, but it turns out a lot of people do this.
Yeah.
Which is, I don't know what they're thinking, but it is a rare. Statistically, this has to be in the trillions, right?
Yeah, I mean,
in a trillion.
It seems like this would just be impossible.
But it happened, and a lot of people are saying, "Wait a minute."
South Africa's lottery probed as 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 are drawn, and 20 people won because some people chose those lottery numbers.
Why start at 5?
Maybe it was random chance. Maybe the universe's random number generator has had enough of our crap and was just like, all right, here, this is it.
Now, this was 5.7 million rand. Once you break it down amongst 20 people, that is about $370,000. But in Africa, I bet that goes a long way.
Yeah. Well, the news articles from South Africa referred to them as millionaires. So,
well, in rand, yeah. 5.7 million. So, that the last number there, was it 9? Or 10 was the Powerball. So, and some people got everything but the Powerball, and they got a pretty decent little payout themselves. Yeah, I guess it's the whole thing where, statistically, the numbers are completely independent of one another. So it's no more likely, although when you think of them as a group, it is a lot less likely, especially sequential.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the ordering, if the lottery's like here, though, I don't think order was part of it. Because here you could draw 3 and then 50, and then when they display them, they sort them.
But the fact that you got a sequential string is what I'm saying.
Oh,
it's like a poker hand where you get it straight.
Yeah.
It's way, way less likely.
Yeah.
We talked last week about the Monolith. There have been a lot of developments, a lot of Monolith developments. I think there was actually another story that I didn't include about another monolith.
Another mysterious monolith suddenly appears, this time in Romania. Seems like it's pretty similar, although a little different than the old one. And it also has now disappeared.
Has it?
I think so. I thought maybe that's wrong. I read on another website, not NPR, that it had disappeared.
This is someone's traveling art project. This is the equivalent of a traveling gnome.
It might have been fake news.
But this one has a weird coloring. They're not sure what it's made of, and it has patterns drawn on it.
Huh.
So it's probably a different monolith.
It's going to be funny when we find out this was all a marketing agency. They planted that first one and waited. And as soon as the news story hit, they launched the project to put them in all over the world.
Guys, we're remaking Contact. We may have accidentally destroyed Arecibo, but the monoliths, right? Right?
There he is. A big fan of monoliths.
Or unhappy with what happened to Arecibo.
Oh. I can hear him on my side. He's really banging.
Well, he's trying to escape his prison. His boiler prison. We enslave him for his heat.
I've only got one slightly saggy pipe, and it's going to be hard to replace.
That's going to be the one he uses to get out. And you know who else is escaping?
Out loud.
Oh, what was that, Krista?
I said you said it out loud, so now he knows where it is.
All right.
He knows there's a weakness.
He just got quiet because he went to attack that weak point. But you know who else is trying to escape the bounds of high house prices? It's the San Franciscans. San Franciscans or San Franciscoans?
San Franciscans.
San Franciscans.
The Franciscan monks.
Ah, you're right, yeah.
Good riddance. Tech's flight from San Francisco is a relief to some advocates. It's got to be, I got to wonder what's going on inside the head of somebody that's like, oh, I live in one of the tech capitals of the world, but I have nothing to do with the tech industry. I really wish that it would go away.
Well, I think they lived there before, or their family lived there.
Yeah.
Are you saying those people should just leave?
They're that unhappy.
Talk about an ivory tower.
So this is an article about how, because of the whole global situation, a lot of people work from home. A lot of people work from home. Home could be anywhere. So a lot of people are leaving San Francisco because of its real estate market and the cost of living there, which is going to bring housing and all the other prices down.
Now, I would argue that San Francisco's problems do not stem from the tech industry or from the housing market even. I would say those are symptoms of an evil, socialist, corrupt government who want to control everything about the lives of their constituents. And as proof of that, I'll present this.
San Francisco bans smoking inside apartments. However, pot smoking is okay. The surprising thing about this is they also banned vaping inside of apartments. But again, pot smoking is okay. I think vaping is far less destructive indoors. This is an entirely inconsistent and terrible policy.
What if I put just a couple of drops of THC in my vape oil?
At least vape smells good. Like, both cigarette smoke and pot smoke smell awful.
Yeah.
Now, they did want to ban pot, but when they actually put this up for review, some pot smokers came along and they were like, okay, yeah, you're going to ban pot? I have a medical card, so what about that? And they're like, just go outside. And they pointed out, it's illegal for me to go outside and smoke pot. And so these politicians were just like, whatever, just smoke pot.
We could change the law that says it's illegal for you to smoke outside. But let's just not do that.
It's disgusting. So good news is, if you're a smoker, those house prices should start coming down. You can get yourself a house. You don't have to be in the apartments anymore. Oh, Krista, this story, I imagine you've not read this yet. And oh boy. So what if I told you, Krista, that
Right.
at the end of 2020, not only is there a black hole relatively close to you here in our little galaxy, but that you are moving toward it at a faster pace than ever in history.
I can't stand that. I hate to know that.
You are being every moment, like just now, Krista, just right now, we're closer than we were when we started talking about this. And you are just, you're never going to escape it.
Rue looks distressed as well. We're both very distressed by this news. Earth faster, closer to black hole in new map of galaxy. And
So-
by close, I'm sure this is still, like, quote unquote space close, where it's, still ages away.
2,000 light years closer to the center of the galaxy, and we're moving 2 kilometers per second faster than previously estimated.
7. So yes, Krista, probably your distant progeny, your genealogy, assuming you breed, will be the ones to be destroyed by this black hole. But I still think you should fear it.
I should, yeah, irrationally so. In fact, I think I'm going to stay in my house
I'm pretty sure
through
that
the whole winter.
Because that'll protect you from the black hole.
I'm pretty sure the sun is going to kill us all before the black hole, but maybe not.
Yeah. I think I sent an article about it, but I don't know if it made it into the cut, about the sun firing off a giant solar flare
No, I didn't
last
see
week.
that.
It's in it's in our group chat, but
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah, I don't really monitor that.
yeah.
And also, I added a late breaking news item about TSMC making Intel's Atom and some of the Xeon system on chip line.
What, you guys act like you don't have access to the...
I know, I forgot. I just
Oh, you know what? The comments don't load.
Yeah.
You got to put it in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, there was a giant solar flare last week, and it wasn't great, though it didn't take out any electrical systems. It's just preparing for the end of the month.
The solar flare has to be pointed toward Earth. So if that solar flare had been pointed toward Earth, that would have been a Carrington event.
Here's how it plays out. 2021, the vaccination rate is like 2%, but it's okay. And so they really ramp up vaccine production. And there's just all over the road. There's trucks everywhere. It's on trains. It's on planes. There's vaccine everywhere, heavily refrigerated. Boom, solar flare.
The Carrington
Wow.
event takes all of that we manufactured out and erases the hard drive that had the formula for making more.
And the labs can't spin back up. They're done.
Because all the computers have been formatted.
Anyway, we should definitely not invest in our infrastructure. It's fine. Let's just keep pretending that nothing can ever happen bad.
Krista, what we're going to invest in, and I think the chat can agree with me, are PlayStation 5s. Because there is a level of excitement going on the PlayStation 5 that you can't afford to pass this up.
Spider-Man. Miles Morales bug turns you into trash.
Oh, it's Miles Morales.
Ooh, embarrassing.
So yeah, there's some fun tweets here, and people, if you run into an object in the right kind of way, you will become that object. Here's a brick.
Oh.
Spider brick.
The dream of Gmod continues well into the 2020s.
There's also
It's like playing prop hunt.
there was a trash can. There was this giant girder type thing.
Spider girder.
Look at it go.
They should not patch that out. They should leave that in, because that's beautiful.
That is sort of funny.
Can you correct it, or do you just have to reload your save?
I think you have to reload because it's involuntary. It has to do with the collision somehow. If Spider-Man collides with that object, he can become that object.
Huh.
Which is a weird bug.
That's a glitch in the Matrix right there.
Yeah. And you might have a hard time finding a PS5. They are certainly, the stock is not good because everybody wants one. And some people want them really, really badly. Now, Krista, would you have a problem with hubby if he came home today with a PS5?
I wouldn't care. I would prefer he discussed it with me first before.
What if he came home with like the deluxe edition with 20 games, like the entire launch library and extra controllers and VR, and he spent like $2,000 on it, maybe more than that?
I would not be thrilled about that unless we had discussed it first,
Well,
and like he had given me a reason for why he really wanted it.
that is certainly what this gentleman was afraid of when he made a very. I don't know if he planned. You think this was off the cuff, or did he plan this?
The article makes it sound like he saw one and he's like, oh, I need to do that.
You think so?
Like it was a crime of opportunity.
It's brilliant either way. But if you came with this on the fly, because as soon as she asked the question, that is like absolutely, 100 IQ big brain play right there. Krista, there's a headline.
Oh, sorry, I was reading the rest of it. Man's wife sells his PlayStation 5 after he discovered he lied and said it was an air purifier.
So
Kind of looks like it, I guess.
she listed it
Ours
for
doesn't
sale,
look
but
anything like that.
she listed it for sale, but he had to meet the buyer because it was like, hey, you're not even scalping this, and it's like, I know, my wife made me get rid of it.
The buyer is the one that we get the story from, and he pointed out that he was he thought it was fraud. Because why would anybody sell an unused PS5 for such a low price? And then he learned the dark truth.
That is a good question, though. Like, if you're the wife in that situation and your husband has gone behind your back to buy this, why would you not sell it for a slightly higher price? At least then you'd profit off of it, though you still have the broken trust from your spouse. But
Oh, I think she was just trying to get rid of it as soon as possible.
Yeah.
I don't think she wanted him to enjoy it at all.
wow. Healthy
Unfortunately.
dynamic there.
So, hey, here's a public service announcement. You signed a terrible contract. Talk to the other person before you do things, because you don't have a choice now. You've ruined your life. This is from the Times of India, Times Now News. Actually, the Times of India is more reputable, right? This is kind of stealing their thunder. I have no idea if this is true.
It seems weird.
It's sensational, but it's such a fun story. It's nonsense. I definitely relax my level of scrutiny for the nonsense.
Right.
Mistakenly given hair restorer for upset stomach, children sprout hair all over their bodies. And they get a picture of a child's shoulder that
But
is...
this could be anybody. That could be my shoulder.
I don't think your shoulder's that tiny.
But there's no... what's the reference to see how big it is or not?
There isn't one, but I
Yeah.
could see that big on a toddler.
So this happened in Spain, I think.
It says credit newsflash.
It was the pharmaceutical manufacturer that mislabeled the bottles. So it wasn't the medical workers that got it wrong. It was the wrong stuff in the bottle.
20 Spanish children sprouted hair all over their bodies. Whoops.
That's a lawsuit.
Here in America, those children will be able to retire.
Yeah, definitely.
Oh, I found it on the Daily Mail as well,
Well, that's
which
a little
is
bit better,
also
I
not
guess.
great. Oh, there's more pictures on the Daily Mail article that are definitely kids, though.
Oh, okay.
It's not a great look.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't
Wow.
want your kid to be covered in hair.
No.
At that point, just get a cat, right?
Yeah.
Well, Hong Kong, in amidst all of the horrible things that happened in 2020, one of them that we overlook is that Hong Kong completely lost their revolution.
They really did, yeah.
They are under draconian controls now, and with no hope of fighting it at this point.
Nope.
Because the laws have changed. They've cracked down on everything. It's basically the Communist Party in charge.
And now they're retroactively erasing you.
And you're going to get stuff like this, which is just, I mean, imagine being this guy.
20 police officers arrest a Hong Kong student leader over the purchase of laser pointers during 2019 demonstrations. So they arrested him and said that he's got too many laser pointers. And when people started freaking out, they said, no, you don't understand. These are blue laser pointers. They're not the red and green laser pointers that they were, that they were supposedly bought for. So, yes, obviously, it took 20 police officers to arrest this student. That makes perfect sense. This is totally not to create a chilling effect where you don't dare oppose Mother Russia. Or not Mother Russia, but you know what I mean.
Also, Mother Russia.
I'm sure they're involved somehow. So, yeah. Too bad.
Very disturbing.
F's in the chat for that poor gentleman who is going to be having a tough time.
I wonder if he could immigrate to the UK.
At this point, if he tries to get on a plane, I think he would just be killed.
Just tweet,
thought-
like, please.
I thought the UK, didn't they offer, like, asylum
Yes.
for people trying to flee
Yep.
Hong Kong?
But you have to be, is it just everybody?
I think you have to have at least some relative or some kind of family connection to Britain, which, as long as the British occupied, maybe. I don't know. Chat engagement and engagement challenge. Let us know what the details of that are. Is it legit?
Could some lonely young British girl marry him out of there?
Probably, yeah.
There you go. That should be a new dating app. Dissident date. Now, this is one that's close to my heart because I am one of what I thought was an aberration. I thought I was the minority.
Yeah,
It turns out
you're
maybe I'm not.
degenerate.
It turns out maybe there's a lot more of us, lurking around than people thought. I do not understand because I understand more the current kids or humans. I mean, everybody's playing games now. But if you were born when we were born, there was no mouse look. Let's get that on the table right here. There was no mouse look. Doom didn't have mouse look. Wolfenstein, those were the first FPS games. Just all keyboard. We didn't start using mouses to look at things until Quake. But we did have flight sims. And in flight sims, toward you is up. Away from you is down. How do you not get that?
There's a gaping hole in their knowledge. The scientists studying why gamers invert their controls. Our article asking why so many players invert their controls provoked a fierce debate that has now caught the attention of researchers into visual perception. If you don't know, the things that you see are projected upside down and backwards on the back of your brain. Not really.
Well, we don't know why, but maybe we'll get some answers. It seems to me that non-inverted means that you are focusing on a point in front of the player. But I've always imagined it as like, basically I have a hand on top of the player's head.
Yeah, it's like, look up.
And when I pull it back, you look up. When I push it forward, you look down. That's just always how it's been in my world. Apparently that's not the norm.
I can't do it.
I used to use a mouse left-handed, but because it's hard to get a left-handed mouse, I learned to use it right-handed, and now it feels weird to use a mouse left-handed.
But you don't invert, right?
No, but it's, I don't know. I have to map everything to reverse, switching from left to right hand. So that I could definitely feel that tickling a certain part of my brain.
What about backing up in cars? Does that give you any issues?
Yeah, it's left from my right. The backup camera is just, it's a disaster.
It took me a while when I was learning to drive to understand like which way the car would go when I backed out.
But it goes the way you turn the wheel the same.
I eventually got that, but it took me a while. because I was a bad driver when I was 16. I'm probably still not a great driver, but I'm better than I was.
Well, at least you admit it. And admitting something when you are that thing is important, especially in politics. And so often, our politicians, they rule in a way that is not only contrary to the desire of their people, but their own desires.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
Anti-gay Hungarian politician József Szájer resigns after being caught attending a 25-man orgy in breach of the pandemic rules. So, yeah, he was vehemently anti-gay, but apparently we point this out a lot on the Level 1 news, where like when there's a politician that's like super against something and they're like, they're really vitriolic, that's something that they, it's like we need to make this illegal because there's a lot of degenerates out there doing this thing. It's like chances are that person is doing that thing.
Yeah, it's so often it happens. And
I think, didn't he just like jump out the window as soon as he got caught?
Yeah.
He tried to escape out the window.
Yeah.
And when they finally caught him and they were getting ready to cuff him, he was like, no, I'm a politician. He's a MEP. I don't remember what MEP stands for, do you?
That's
Member of European Parliament?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a fairly high up politician.
Now, I like to imagine, so the things, his anti-gay laws weren't that you couldn't be gay. It was that gay people could not adopt and marry. Was marriage one of them?
I wonder if he's like, I would never have known I was gay if I'd never been exposed to that. And it's just, that's a tragedy.
See, here's what I think happened. I think he's got, because he's a man of power, probably got some money. He's got a young lover, right? And he's really enjoying that. But every once in a while, his young lover's like, oh, let's adopt. And he's like, oh, let's make that illegal.
Yeah.
I don't want to do that.
That sounds like the political stories here. Our election's been stolen. Oh, wait.
Also, a 25-man orgy. Jesus Christ. I mean, they always have to take it so much further. That's true. There's one man
out. Odd number. Someone's being left out at some point.
Somebody's got to serve the drinks. Oh my God! What is wrong with this website?
Oh, something's broken. They're trying to shut it down.
What website are you on?
Oh, there it goes.
Did you change the order?
No, it just wouldn't load for a second.
I think if it stays loaded too long, I was trying to do something. Maybe it was trying to serve an ad or something. It couldn't. Now, if you guys can think back, was it like 2015 when we had one of my favorite politicians in history as Rob Ford, the crack smoking mayor?
Yeah.
Right up.
And he was like, yeah, that's me. What of it?
Go back on YouTube and watch his press conferences. Yeah. The one where he is arguing with a reporter because she seems to think that he's attracted to her. And he says something like, I won't repeat it because we'll get demonetized. I'm paraphrasing here when I say, no, he said, no, I don't want to perform oral sex on you. I have a wife. I performed oral sex on my wife this morning. That was his defense. Because he was a crack-smoking mayor. But he's not the only crack-smoking mayor.
Massena mayor's arrest connected to investigation of drug sales and possession. I'm the mayor. You can't arrest me. Turns out we can.
So what was going through this guy's mind, I can't imagine. He ran from the cops, and during his run from the cops, did the old move where he threw the baggie out the window, and they recovered the baggie, and what was in it? Crack cocaine.
Baby powder.
Probably cut with a little bit of that. Laxative, I think, is what they use, Kristen, not powder.
Whoa.
So, yeah. Not a good Christmas for Mr. Courier. There was apparently a whole conspiracy of drug sales and stuff going on in this town. Pretty sure this is upstate New York because the mailing address for North Country Now is New York.
I was also trying to determine that and thought the same thing.
So Rob Ford country.
He was in Canada. Close enough?
Close enough.
I think his brother's still in politics in Canada.
Yeah.
Amazing. And when it comes to politicians behaving badly, that might be our most extreme case this week. Well, I don't know. You think the Hungarian or the New York guy? Which is worse?
I think the Hungarian guy affects a lot
Yeah.
more people negatively.
There's a lot of hypocrisy,
Yeah.
but there is something extra disgusting about legislating against a minority that you are
Yeah.
and hiding it. These other ones, not as tame, but maybe even more, or at least the same amount of hypocrisy when it comes to the lockdown and how our politicians behave during that lockdown.
Austin mayor tells community to stay home while in Cabo after flying a private jet there. And that was a day after attending a wedding with 20 guests. It's like, hello, do you not know how this works? Come on. I hate this too because a lot of the conspiracy theorists are like, oh, they know that this isn't real because they're doing all this stuff. And if it was real, they would take their own safety into account. And it's like, no, there's no accounting for human insanity.
No, they're just used to a certain kind of lifestyle that we afford them because we're stupid.
Yeah.
And they're not willing to give it up for any reason. That's why they do this.
And here's the thing too, like they also know that if they get sick, they'll get the best treatments.
That's
Like
true. Yeah. Well, if
they don't have to pay for it.
they look at all the high-ranking people who've gotten it. It's like, oh, hey, I'm fine. Let's just have that delicious dinner. And our next headline continues the theme.
Elected officials dine out after urging others to stay home. The Associated Press has some instances of that for us.
Kind of a lot of them, but it's all the same story.
See, I really hate this because it adds so much fuel to the, don't even bother. This is not a thing that's real. But like wearing masks does help.
And this chick, I can't remember what her name is. Oh, London Breed. That's kind of a cool name, actually. She went to this same restaurant that Gavin Newsom went to, the French Laundry. They just can't get enough of that restaurant. I bet the food there is amazing.
I think it has a Michelin star. Like that should tell you how expensive it is.
How does the mayor afford that? She shouldn't be making that kind of money. What's the mayor making?
Too
It
much.
has public funded health insurance as well, so if she gets sick, we'll pay for it.
Oh my God.
We are losing the elderly at an alarming rate.
Maybe we should start giving them French Laundry food.
It might be their last meal.
Yeah.
Well, if you have contracted the vid and you feel like you're down to your last meal, I have a suggestion for you of what that last meal should be. And you might be thinking, well, maybe I don't even like those, but just think about the color of your poop after this. It's going to be amazing.
Lady Gaga and Oreo team up to spread musical messages of kindness with limited edition cookies. So they changed the cookie design to be messages of love and understanding.
But I don't really... Okay, Krista, you're the artist.
Right.
Number 1 I get is a heart. Number 2 is the name of the album. I don't know what the other stuff is. What is number 3?
I think it is Lady Gaga in some kind of snake dress.
The Tree of Life.
A snake dress?
Well, because the ends of the dress wrap around, but you can see she's got the crazy heels that she wears coming out of the bottom there, and then the top is a figure with hair flowing.
Speaking of which, did you see that Oreo Thins is now a thing? They're made especially for Ryan, people that don't like as much cream but like the cookie part.
Again, degenerate.
I've
Inverted controller.
I've covered this many times. I'm insulted that you don't remember. The Thins reduce the cookie and the cream in the same ratio.
Oh no.
Yeah.
I think the video that I saw of them, because I'd never seen them in video until recently, had the same. Apparently, in the video, the cookie looked the same, but the cream was just about gone.
Now I've had these years ago, so that maybe they have a new one.
Yeah, this was something they were really pushing, probably in the last week or two. And the cookie looked to be the same size, but there was practically no cream.
That would be perfect because there's too much cream in Oreos.
Well, I'll have to look the next time I go to the grocery store and bring it to the stream.
But they definitely had Thins before, and the ratio was the same. They were just overall smaller. What's the point of that?
Yeah.
It says the cookies are bright pink with green filling, but that does not look like bright pink to me.
It's kind of a flesh.
Orange, yeah.
The camera was trying to white balance and failed.
There's something about that's off.
The package is certainly pink, and that's not the same color as the cookies.
Yeah, not at all.
I don't know. Well, I saw this headline and I thought there'd be some great examples. There really aren't, unfortunately. But what we do have here that I feel like is worth checking out real quick are the top 10 names of dogs and cats in 2020.
Top cat and dog names of 2020 include names related to the thing. I didn't get that from this list, but okay.
Well, no, they said after, like at the end of the story, there's a little line. It's like, oh, but none of those names are in this list. Fauci or Fauci or whatever. That's one of them. People are naming their Fauci, and of course the C word.
Nice.
Yeah, but let's look at
Rona would be like, because that sounds like almost like a regular name.
Let's look at them, and I feel like these are very boring pet names.
I like the name Charlie for a dog. That's cute.
But that's a person name.
These are all person names.
Except, well, I guess Simba could be a person too.
Oh no, is the other tab making noise, ruining the recording?
Uh-oh.
Wouldn't that be a tragedy? Yep.
Is it check the OBS recording quickly and make sure that it's not?
Chat.
Wait, it's not picking it up.
All right, good. We've excluded that source. Yes. Thank you, past selves, for planning for this contingency.
I don't know which tab
It's
is it?
the next
tab.
one. Perth now.
Mute.
That was a close one, you guys. Close. Super close.
I think we've had that happen once before, and I think that's why we excluded the scene for like the browser, the sound.
This one was amazing.
Yeah, this one is. It's not an animal that we ever deal with, but you do hear stories.
We have to deal with the bear version of this.
There's that great video of the guy fishing, and the kangaroo comes up behind him and kicks him into the pool. But kangaroos are apparently pretty powerful creatures, and you don't want to get on the wrong side of them.
Sarah Jessica Parker Perfume blamed for Melbourne kangaroo attack. So this kangaroo came up behind a girl and pushed her down to the ground, and then just sort of was kind of puzzled, and then chased her, and the game warden thought that it's probably her perfume.
What do you think the end game was in his mind?
This is another kangaroo.
So you think Sarah Jessica Parker Perfume smells like kangaroo?
I don't know.
Apparently.
The picture they have in the article as well, I think this might be a wallaby and not a kangaroo, because when you see pictures of kangaroos, they look jacked. Like, they're super buff, and this does not look like that. That would be terrifying, though, if you're running and something that big came up and just, like, pounced on you.
Christy, are you doubting an Australian's identification of a kangaroo? I don't think you're in any...
I don't know. I'm
Place
saying
you
the
know.
article, whoever wrote the article, the editor, they might have picked a picture of a wallaby and not.
Perth now? These are also Australians, Christy.
I don't know. Someone was like, who puts on perfume to go on a run? And she was like, I couldn't find deodorant, so that's what I did.
She said that. She was like, oh, why am I supposed to... But pro tip, chat. Here's a pro hygiene tip. Perfume does not perform the same operation as deodorant.
Yeah.
That is a pro hygiene tip.
People make that
Pro
mistake.
hiking tip. Don't bother carrying deodorant because you're going to stink either way. And it's not worth the wait because it will not work after an hour or two of hard hiking.
And our final story, which usually we like to do a little bit of an upbeat story for the final one, or at least funny. This is
dark.
kind of funny, but it is
Mostly dark.
just horrific. And I got to say, one of the craziest headlines you'll ever read.
Formerly celebrated Eastern Kentucky teacher born without arms or legs indicted on child sex charges. And it's like they must have gotten something wrong here. Nope, they've got some text messages that are pretty damning.
So she was like a student or teacher's assistant or something like that. I think she's recently out of school, so she's doing that whole period where you go to different schools and help and stuff and learn the trade. And apparently took a shine to one of the young men. I don't know which way who propositioned who, but they both said yes at some point, it seems.
Yay for technology for capturing this tragedy.
The sun shines bright on my old Kentucky home.
There's so many questions I have about this. Most of the jokes that I can make about it are a little too insensitive for the level 1 filter. But how do you imprison her?
I mean, I don't know. This case is going to be a mess.
Yeah, that is actually a good question because I don't think prison facilities are really designed around her kind of use case.
No, God, she is going to get severely abused. Plus, she has to have her chair, right?
Yeah.
How much contraband could you pull out of that chair?
Yeah.
How many items inside that chair could I use to stab somebody?
A lot.
In women's prisons, that's not such a big thing, but I'm sure the rules apply across the board, right?
It would. I mean, the only really compassionate option is going to be some kind of house arrest, but then there's nobody to take care of her.
Right, exactly. But her skill is teaching kids. You obviously can't let that happen anymore, right?
Nope.
Right, she'd probably lose her teaching license.
She probably is able to get some kind of disability check, even though she's, working here. But
I think, and maybe I'm looking for excuses for her because of her condition, but I feel like probably she didn't get a lot of attention from the opposite sex because of her condition. And then one day that changed, and she just, it's like if the impala all of a sudden starts chasing the lion.
Oh yeah.
And the lion's like, what? I don't know. I can't run away from this. I'm not built for this. This has never happened.
It's awful.
Yeah.
But you can't diddle the kids. I don't care what your excuse is. You just can't do it.
Yeah.
Truly dark story to end on for the week.
Well,
Mistakes were made.
Krista, it is 2020.
It is. It is a dark year that we'll one day look back on fondly as the times when it wasn't so dark.
Maybe we will, maybe we won't, because maybe we'll all be dead.
We all, the new death projections is like 350,000. That's scary.
But it could be interesting that if we live a really long time, people will be interviewing us and be like, "Oh my God, you were alive during the virus."
I stayed at home and I hung out on the couch.
You went through it. What was it like?
I love there's a German commercial that seems like it's going to be about World War II, and it's like, the greatest generation, what did they do? World War II, whatever. And it's like, you're charged, like the most important thing you can do in this generation is just stay home. Like, don't do anything. And it's sort of making the comparison.
Yeah.
Like, what were you doing? And it's like this old dude. He's like, I stayed at home for the good of the country.
Rosie the relaxer.
I learned how to bake bread.
How did you get through it, Grandpa? Are you familiar with Monster Train?
Cyberpunk 2077 is how I got through it.
I played a lot of Monster Train. I got to Covenant rank 18.
What does that mean, Grandpa? You wouldn't get it.
Shut up and get Grandpa another beer.
You think, do you think that's what, that seems like that's what that's going to be. That's how that's going to, I don't even know how we return to normal.
Maybe we don't. But one thing we will do is return next week to give you more news.
I also like that about the death count. I've noticed the death count people's like, oh, we normally lose 150,000 people a year to flu and everything else. It's like, well, it's like 300 this year, so it seems a little worse.
But I do think that there are a lot of those mixed up in that.
Yeah, no, yeah. If you have, there's a couple people that I know, and their guy died of something, not the thing, but the thing definitely caused the other thing, like without question, because they were fine.
And but then it's like a chicken and egg type thing.
Yes.
And so how do we count it? It seems like they just, again, I think there's a monetary reason for hospitals to check that box.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because, of course, they're going to do that.
But, if it were me, like if I went into the hospital and I had the thing and I barely survived, and they're like, congratulations, you're free of the thing, but your numbers still don't look good. You have an infection somewhere. And then I hung on for like another 3 or 4 days or like a week and then died, I would definitely want it to be counted as the thing.
Because I feel like the final nail in the coffin. Like, you might have survived a normal thing, like a normal infection, but with that on top of it, like...
Yeah. It's like, I did not have I have no history of having weird infections that are, hard for doctors to find. And then I died of that, and that's the thing that happened. And it's like, no, that doesn't... I feel like that I would have survived if I hadn't had the thing and almost died of that.
Well, in the last moments, you've certainly guaranteed a robust comment section.
Yeah, I was gonna... we kind of got baited there, but like... Here it comes.
Maybe you know how you have a DNR? Maybe in your DNR, it's like, if you're in one of these bizarro edge cases, how would you like us to count your death?
Now this is Newsmax talking. So yeah, it's completely one side. I do enjoy listening to it sometimes. They claim that there are old people who, like, on their deathbed are like, "Don't count me. This is not it. That's not what's killing me. Don't count me."
Well, they have, if they can even talk while through the breathing tube.
Yeah, you got to wonder if, like, the last thing you get to say on Earth, are you really going to go with that? Maybe you will.
I've seen a lot of stories where nurses say, like, that's the last thing. People are still saying, like, no, I don't have it. It's not real.
Yeah,
and they're like, you can't breathe. Like,
do we have harrowing stories like that from nurses when old people die of the flu every year?
How about the Spanish flu?
Probably the Spanish flu, yeah. I mean, there were stories about that. But, I feel like in the Spanish flu days, people were a lot more serious about wearing masks.
well, there were still anti-maskers. There's photos of people who, it wasn't as widespread, I don't think, but I also wonder if the media focusing on those people now is what makes it seem like it's more widespread as well.
We should start a genealogy service that tracks you back to find out if your people were maskers or anti-maskers.
Oh, look at this branch of your family tree. It stopped at the same time as this hit. I wonder if those things are related. All right. That's enough. That's enough baiting the commenters.
Yeah.
Krista, why don't you give us, as a sort of a, because of you've maligned the Australian people so much, why don't you give us an Australian goodbye? I know you've got an Australian accent. I've heard it.
It's not good, though, and I'm trying
That's
to think
why
hard.
I love it.
Goodbye, mate.
Perfect.